This week, the gospel text is from John chapter 6, verses 56 through 69. The chapter begins with the feeding of the 5,000, where Jesus takes 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and is able to feed thousands of people. He says he's the bread of life, he's the bread of heaven, the living bread. And so here we are in this conversation with the religious leaders about bread, his body and blood. What Jesus is saying about bread is that it's spiritual nourishment. He's not speaking of literal bread necessarily. He's saying he gives life. And the problem here in this text is that he's using this terminology that is just outrageous. He's saying, you have to eat my body and drink my blood. Now, to the religious leaders who are listening to this, eat my body, that is a barbaric practice. This is what enemies do to their enemies. It's very violent. And drinking blood is an abomination. It's against the law of God. The thing that strikes me about this passage is how it begins with a tone of violence. And this world is so full of violence. And I'm sure that this week, unfortunately, we will see some examples of violence in our midst. And Jesus uses this violent imagery, this drinking his blood and eating his body, but he transforms it to the spiritual life. And what he's saying is that with him in us, as we are part of him, we are able to take that spiritual life to the world and offer redemption to the world through Jesus' love. And that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about violence. He's not talking about a violent overthrow or a change. He's talking about new life in love that lasts forever.